Hello yogis, welcome back to your mat. My name is Krista and this is day 17 of our Spring into Yoga challenge. For today's class, we are going to be doing another yin class. I have a little bit of a different scenery here. I'm filming outside on my front porch and it's just a beautiful day, so what better way to enjoy this beautiful day than practicing outside. The props that you will need today is 2 blocks. 2 blocks will do just on their own, but if you think you might need more, make sure you have a cushion handy and a blanket. And again, just because these are shorter videos, I tend to film these yin classes a little bit shorter than I normally would, so we're not going to hold the poses too long, maybe like 5 to 10 breaths. And I call this yin practice Taming the Fire. And the reason for this is because we are currently in a season of wood, and the more wood energy we kind of cultivate in the springtime, the more fire we're going to have during the summer months when it's predominantly fire element season. And if we have too much fire, we can start to really burn out. We can burn out the joy within ourselves, and we can really start to lack that childlike playfulness within us. So it is during this time that we really need kind of water element type practices like yin yoga to really calm down those fires. As always, I always have my yin sounds playlist linked down below for you. And we will get started today in toe squat. So just coming into a tabletop, tuck the toes, and just have a peek back at your toes and really use your hands to peel. Make sure all 10 toes are tucked under, and then sit your heels towards your bum, and option to just stay upright, bringing your hands on your thighs. If that's too intense, then keep the palms or the fingertips down onto the floor. And you can play with keeping the feet closer together versus further away from each other. And if you want to intensify this, that's when you want to put like a cushion or blanket across the heels and then sit on it. It just gives like a little bit more weight to this pose. And just close your eyes and just breathe. If it ever becomes too intense, just ease out of the pose very gently. Really stretching all the fascia in our feet. And waking up all the meridians that are in our feet. A lot of them either start or end in our feet. Last few breaths here. Want to come out, gently shift your weight forward, bring your hands onto the floor, untuck the toes. Keep your toes together as you sit the bum back, and then bring your hands behind you and lean back. Maybe you lift the knees a little bit here. If this is too intense, you can bring either your blocks or a blanket underneath your knees. Finding a stretch in the front of the ankles. And to slowly come out of this, gently walk yourself back upright. If you have any props underneath the knees, just gently release them off to the side. And I like to just come up to all fours and gently tap the tops of my feet onto the floor. Release, massage, and then come to sit on your bum. Coming into a butterfly pose. Bringing the soles of the feet together. Hi, baby. I have a little guest with me today. So sitting up nice and tall, you can start to hinge forward. If you have your blocks, bring your blocks. Set them up so you can rest your forehead down. So whatever height you might need them at. So you can start off more support and then lessening it over time. Just allow your arms to be heavy. Allow your whole body to really sink and melt into this pose. Really focusing on deep belly breaths. To really calm the mind, calm the body, and the nervous system. If you have any props, maybe you slide them away and see if you can go a little bit further. Unclench the hinges of your jaw and see if you can relax the eye sockets a little bit more here. Last breath here. When you're ready, bring your hands onto the floor and start to curl the spine up vertebrae by vertebrae. Head and neck come up last. Just stay in this upright position for a moment. And close your legs up like a book, bringing the soles of the feet onto the mat. Bring your feet out, knees together, and just give yourself a little hug here. Transitioning back into that tabletop. Finding melting heart, so making sure your hips are stacked directly over the knees. Walk your arms forward and then sink your chest down towards your floor. Forehead can rest onto your mat. Now for this, obviously we are going to be a little bit more active here, especially in the arms. If you need a little bit more height, then bring a block or a pillow underneath your chest. Keep the hands pressing into the mat. You can also bend the elbows down towards the floor and stack your forehead onto the palms or onto the hands. Both feel good. To come out of this pose, bring your hands onto the mat. You pushing your hands into the floor and then rounding the spine on the way up to walk your hands underneath the shoulders. Remove any props off to the side. Just take a cat-cow. Maybe really rounding through the spine here just to release that little back bend, that heart opener. Really pressing the back of the heart up towards the ceiling. Sway your hips side to side. Moving into Pigeon Pose, bring your right knee to your right wrist, and then pivoting the right ankle towards the left wrist. It doesn't have to go all the way. And then sink your hips down towards the floor as you slither that back leg out further. Now you can stay here in this pigeon pose, and I will show you the next part. We're going to approach it a little bit differently today. If this is uncomfortable for you, I suggest sitting on to that front hip and then slightly bending that back knee, and you can just fold forward this way. But if you can sit somewhat comfortably in your pigeon, we're going to find a thread the needle variation. So that left arm is going to thread between the right knee, right hand, and just come to rest your left cheek, your left shoulder onto the mat. You can also bring a block underneath your forehead if you need to. Just breathe. Just noticing any physical sensations that come up for you. And is there any emotional sensations that come up for you? Especially in this pose. This one can kind of invigorate a little bit of anger sometimes. Last few breaths here. And start to press into the mat with that right hand, just enough that you can free the left hand. Sit your right hip onto the mat. Slide that left leg forward. Just bringing both soles of the feet onto the mat. And just give yourself a hug. This pose is sometimes called a cosmic egg. Just really rebounding that shape. Noticing the sensations between the left and the right side of the body. Now we're going to move into the other side. So this time, pigeon pose, our left leg is going to be forward and our right leg is going to be back. And again, setting up this pose and how it feels best in your body. Take a few breaths here just to settle in. And then finding that thread the needle variation, that right arm is going to thread through and then come to rest onto your right cheek and the right shoulder. Slow, steady breathing. Last few breaths here. And to release, push your left hand into the mat to free up the right hand. Hi, sweet pea. From here, shift your weight off to one hip, sweep both legs forward, and just give yourself a little hug, again, coming back to that cosmic egg. And then come to just sit in a comfortable position, cross-legged. We're going to be doing a little bit of a foot massage here before we settle into our Shavasana. Now taking your foot, just with both hands, just slowly start to massage your foot. You can even take one hand if you can reach and start to kind of press your hand into your foot. And the floor acts as a nice barrier so we can get a nice massage going into our feet. Just getting into any areas that feel tight or tired. Taking to both hands and really thinking of spreading all the bones of the feet. And then if you point your toe, there's a little point right here that all the wrinkles kind of gather together. So if you want to linger and press into that point a little bit here, this is our kidney 1 point, and it really allows the body to calm down. And this massage is really good to do before you go to bed to really help wind you down for a good sleep. We'll just do a little bit more, just working into all the areas of the feet. You can bring the shin onto the opposite leg, and then spread the toes so you can get your fingers in between each toe. Just do some nice ankle rotations here. And then moving in the opposite direction. And then getting into a little bit of our shin. So we really want to think of doing this motion, and we want our thumbs to be in line with that, right in that middle of the back of our shin, our calf muscle. So you almost want to think of like you want to spread the calf muscle apart. Beautiful. Now bring your foot onto the floor, and just with the edges of your hands, slowly start to tap up and down the shin. Maybe even the wrists. And then sweep it down. And then we'll switch sides. So this time, just bringing your left foot in front. You can start by palming, pressing the foot against the floor. And then taking your foot into both hands and think of really moving all the bones in your feet. And in traditional Chinese medicine, it is always said that we want to keep our feet hot and warm, our head cool. You never want your feet to get cold, because then you're more susceptible to getting sick and illness and stuff like that. So by doing this, we're warming up the feet before bed. Keeping our head out of the covers keeps our head cool, so we can protect ourselves from getting sick. So just massaging into the foot, pressing into that kidney 1 point again. And then taking that foot across the opposite leg, spreading the toes to get your fingers in between, and then just doing some ankle rotations. Moving in one direction and then over to the other. And then last one here is just to get into that calf again, right in the center of that calf. We really want to think of bringing the thumbs and almost like you're peeling away the muscle. Beautiful. And then bring that foot down, and with the edges, the blades of your hands, gently pat up and down the leg. Getting into that fleshy bit behind your shin. and then sweep. Beautiful. And now we're going to come to lay onto our mat and reach for one of your blocks. If you don't have a block, just a book or something with weight. And once you lay down, just bring the block or whatever you have just onto your lower belly. Rest in your Shavasana, deep belly breaths. You really want to think of, on the inhale, your belly expands and it lifts the block up. And with every exhale, the block will start to deflate. But having that kind of tactile feedback, just to really feel the breath moving where we want to move it. And this really deep belly breathing really calms the fire, helps to calm the nervous system. And just stay with this breath as long as you like, as long as you need. And I will leave you here really relishing in that full relaxation. Until next time, yogis, namaste.